All right, I just wanted to make this quick video to ask you a question and make a point afterwards. And which game would work better if you were trying to compete here and the competition is to send a message. Let's say it's a paragraph that's made up of 4 sentences that you have to tell to only one person, and they have to pass it along and return the message to you, right? So you can do it orally, like in the game of telephone that you probably played once or twice when you were little, or you can do it while the person writes a note. So this person here is going to speak a whisper into this person's ear, and then so on and so forth. They do the same thing, one at a time. And we know that just by going through just a few people here, by the time this person relays the message back to him, it's a completely different message than what it started off with, right? We've all played the game. We know how it works, right? That's part of the game. You get to see the weird message that comes out at the end. But if you sit here and you have this person write a note, and then he passes it or she passes it to this guy, and they turn around and they copy it without anybody seeing, and then they pass the copy over, and this person copies it, and this person copies it, this person copies it, this person copies it, this person copies it, and they give it back. It's gonna be pretty much the same exact message, right? Because even if somebody gets confused about a letter, because somebody writes a letter weird, they'll be able to figure it out. Like sometimes, like you see here with better, or my R's look like that. When I do a V and an R, they look almost the same. But you can tell that I'm not saying betiv. The word's better, right? You can figure that out because you're a smart person, right? And people are going to do the same thing, right? So generally, you're going to get this. When you do it written, you're going to get the message right. But when you do it orally, you're not. The message is going to change over time, right? Especially if this is something that's passed along over a week, a month, a year, a decade, a century, a millennia. I mean, the longer the time, the more messed up the message is going to be and how much it's going to change, right? But if it's written and copied, there's not going to be any change, right? And any change that comes about, you're going to easily be able to figure out that it was changed and correct it pretty easily, right? Because when you did this copying, you got like, 7, 8 copies right here? You'll be able to put it together and be like, oh, we see where we were wrong. You can make corrections very easily. But when you do the orally, you can't really see where things went wrong. You can't really fix things, right? And we understand this, right? That's why when there's people who they make a deal, like you make a deal with your neighbor, some kind of contract, if you do it verbally, you made a deal, and that stands that you made it verbally. But you got to say, can I get this in writing? Because if you don't get it in writing, then there's no evidence of anything. You can make up whatever you want. So you could have made a deal with your neighbor that you'll take out his trash for $5 a week, right? You know, just thinking of something simple and, straightforward. And you take out the trash for a month, and you're expecting, all right, that was 4 weeks. I should get $20. And they give you $5. And they're like, no, we made a deal that it was $5 for a month. And you're like, no, it's $5 per week for each day. I mean, for each week, or what have you. And they're gonna be like, no, we agreed to something different. And you take them to court, you can't prove anything. The court's just going to be like, well, we don't know. You say this, he says that. We don't know. We don't know who's lying, who's not. So you're just going to have to take the pay you got and just stop doing the deal, right? And that's that, right? But if you have it in writing that you're going to get $5 a week, then, hey, the person owes you $15 because they made that deal. They signed the contract. They owe it to you because you have it in writing, right? Such as if you go to court and you're like, oh, people were saying certain things here about a certain person. Be like, well, that's hearsay. That's not evidence. That's just people gossiping and spreading rumors. But if you actually have something written down from that person, well, now you have some evidence. The person wrote it down, the thing they said or did, right? And these things are obvious. Matter of fact, there's a lot of Catholics, American Catholics, United States citizens, and they want to uphold the U.S. Constitution, right? But if somebody comes in and they want to change the U.S. Constitution, they're going to be like, hey, what are you doing? But if the United States government did exactly what the Roman Catholic Church did, and they say, well, we wrote the United States Constitution, we can change it, we can interpret it how we want. These same Roman Catholics who defend this when it comes to the Roman Catholic Church, they'll defend this. But then when it comes to the United States Constitution and the American government using the same logic the Roman Catholic Church uses, they'll say, no, we have to rely on what is written, right? And they're like this when it comes to the U.S. Constitution, right? So they're very inconsistent. Be like, well, your church can rely on oral tradition and ignore what is written, but the United States government can't do the same thing? That all of a sudden that's wrong? The Catholic Church says they gave you the scriptures and only they can interpret it, so they can decide what it really means and everything. And you say, yes. But then the United States says, we gave you the Constitution, we can interpret what it means, and we can change it as we see fit. And you say, no. We have to go by what's written. So you see how the Catholics, you catch them in this all the time. What I'm drawing here is the Roman Catholic forked tongue, because it consistently contradicts itself, because it's inconsistent. They just go with whatever benefits them. They don't care about right or wrong or truth or lies. It's just whatever benefits them, because they're selfish people, which they don't care, right? Matter of fact, I point the truth out to them, and they're going to hate me because I told them the truth. You're being selfish in the way you interpret things and the way you use things. All right? You can do it, but then when somebody else does it, no, it's wrong. That's narcissistic. But now you're going to hate me only because I'm telling the truth. I haven't done anything wrong to anybody. I haven't wronged anybody at all in this video. I'm just stating the truth here. But a lot of you are going to be upset and mad at me because of that. And there's no reason for you to do so. You're unjustified in your anger. But you're still going to be mad. And that's something you need to work out with God. You shouldn't be having a forked tongue like this and contradicting yourself. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it. If you like this video and the other content I put out there, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share the video, share the channel, interact in the comment section. These things help out so much. And take a moment to pray to our Heavenly Father that this message gets out to whoever it needs to get out to, and that He would keep this ministry going, and that He would support it, and that He would support and provide and protect us until He comes and gets us. And don't forget to do what Isaiah said and seek out the book of the Lord and read it. Put in line upon line, doing what Paul said, studying that word, showing yourself approved unto God, not man, rightly dividing that word of truth. And doing what John said, not that you don't need a man to teach you. That you put all your faith and trust in God and let His Spirit guide you, comparing spiritual things to spiritual things, and hiding that word in your heart, keeping it and preserving it so that God will keep you from the hour of temptation which will come upon all them that will dwell on the earth. And Jesus will then never be able to tell you you do err not knowing the scriptures. And if you want to help support this ministry some more because you're able to, awesome. There's 4 ways you can donate to this ministry in the info description box if you so choose, which would be greatly appreciated to make sure this can keep on keeping on. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you again for your time and attention. I appreciate it. Take care. I'll see you in the next one, and may God bless you and yours.